Hi there, welcome back. Does my voice sound a little better? I have to tell you, for a cold that waited 3.5 years to arrive, knock on wood, it was not a bad one. It seems to be on its way out. Fingers crossed. I don't need any colds. I have surgery in a few days. Well, I forget what day today is. Is it December 3rd? Is it December 4th? Anyhow, December 20th, I have surgery on my eye. So I don't need a cold. So it can go. We're working a little bit more. I thought I'd be done. I'm not. Oh well. On just the Little Book of Christmas from 1876, the little green book. It doesn't seem to have a name. I've been calling it the Little Green Christmas Book. Handy dandy rock. My rocks crack me up because in order to make more room on my desk, I tend to end up building like inuksuks on my desk like this. Before you know it, I've got this pile that reminds me of an inukshuk. And if you don't know what an inukshuk is, you should look up the inukshuk. I-N-U-K-S-H-U-K. Inukshuk. There we go. That's better. So I was using, just to protect our little lace there and just the cover in general. I usually will put something on top, whether it's a piece of paper or that. And at night before I go to bed, I usually would just put a rock on top to just give it a little mild pressure at the end of the day, so that when I turn off the light in here and off I go, because I don't work at night, the books that I work on have a little bit of pressure on them. It really is almost done. I found this in amongst all my Christmas things. I do manage to have all my Christmas things fit into one bin that gets put underneath this big desk. I have a big art desk here, and it was such a blessing to find. I still can't believe I got it and for what I paid for it. And it belonged to a Canadian watercolorist, Leslie Park. You can look him up. What an amazing artist. And so I feel honored to use his desk. And again, I've said it before. I said to his daughter, I said, "Are you sure you want to sell your dad's desk?" And she said, "Are you an artist?" And I said, "Well, I am." And she said, "Then it couldn't be in better hands." She said, "He did not pass his talent on to me," she said, "but I have many of his paintings." And I thought, well, that's a nice way to look at it. So I got Leslie Park's desk, and he was an amazing painter and appointed member of the Watercolorist Society of Canada, and he taught at our local college for many years. So I'm happy to use his desk. And if I lifted up all the stuff that's all under here, you'd see that at least for some time in his life, Mr. Park was a smoker, because there's cigarette burns all up there. So he must have kept his ashtray up there, and he probably would get busy in a painting and forget that it was burning and burning and burning until it fell off the edge of the ashtray, is what I imagine. Anyhow, I found this in my bin, and I thought, well, it's time for that to get used. So I pinned it to the lace on the journaling board. I rather like that side, but for right now I'm leaning towards this side. Let's put it in here somewhere. I've been having fun, I must say. I did a bit of fussy cutting the other day. I have now containers of Tim Holtz Christmas things. And you will see a few here and there throughout this book because they are beautiful. They're very beautiful, and it is hard to find really nice quality vintage Christmassy things. Things that I recall from my Christmases, and I'm old enough to recall what is now considered vintage. It was brand new when I was a little girl. But my heart still keeps going back to cutting things out of my books. So I spotted this in, I have this beautiful book. If you ever see it, grab it. Victorian Christmas, it's called. And it's just chock full of beautiful Victorian fussy cuts and artwork and such. Look at that, isn't that cute? That's back when Santa used to smoke. Anyhow, I've been just doing little details here and there, and I'm going to have to start putting little tucks here and there. Oh, I did something really cool. First of all, I love this tuck spot. I did use some Tim Holtz right there. That's from, I had a book on antique Christmas toys, and that's from that book there. And I forget, I think this is from scrapbook paper, and I fussy cut it up. And this, of course, is one of those photos. I neglected to let you know the other day that it's not the original photo. Finding old photos of winter scenes is very, very difficult, and I only have about 9. So I print them off, and I'm hanging on to the originals. But I have used the paper from the original text block to back this picture so that it can be journaled on. And I really like the way that page turned out. But anyhow, here, if you remember, I made this, and it's got the music for O Holy Night inside it. I've made some journaling cards inside, and I have, as you probably guessed, many, many copies of A Christmas Carol. And I will often snag even a paperback copy so that I can cut up the pages. And I've used the pages of A Christmas Carol. So this one is the page from when Bob Cratchit tastes the plum pudding, and you can hear where it says hurrah, because apparently it was the best she'd ever made, my dear. And then this one is Scrooge. You had to admire Scrooge's nerve. Like, imagine arguing with ghosts. The man was like arguing ghosts. Ghosts were taking him against his will all over the place, all over London. And he had the nerve to argue with them. That's a nervy little man. Anyhow, so I really love how they turned out. And in order for them to sort of not take too much away from how pretty this old religious painting is, I apologize. I'm still have a tickly throat. So I just did a little dab of a bit of the gold ink on the corners. And then on the back, there's journaling space with some stenciling, just very, very pale stenciling so that can be journaled on. What else did I do? This is a little tuck spot with a little piece of lace up here and a button sewn on, and then on the back is another one. And little robins. I have to ask for my friends over in the UK and Europe, for your European robins, because they're very different from our robins here in North America. The robins here in North America are a really good-sized bird. I get the feeling that the European robins are a little bird, and our birds are very big. The full tummy is a brick red for the boys and sort of an orangey red for the ladies. And the boys, the head and wings are black, and for the ladies, it's more of a subtle slate gray. Anyhow, where I live, the robins leave in the winter, so we don't see, when I see beautiful, I imagine that they're either German or British pictures of little robins in the snow eating berries off trees and that. I imagine, do your robins stick around all winter where you are, or do they fly off to warmer climates? Because ours usually will take off to warmer climates. Here's another one of those pictures that I reproduced. It's still a photo. I have that awesome little machine that I can print photos of as long as they're small, and it's perfect size for journals. And then backed it with paper from the original text block. I'm making use of some. This is just from a cool book on Canadian Christmases that I have. And then my daughter brought me a poinsettia for my birthday last week, and it was wrapped in this really nice see-through-y kind of really textured paper. Very difficult to rip, but I found a way. And but I felt like the top needed a little more. It needed some security, so I dug into my Tim Holtz and put some holly across the top of this pocket. And then I also dug into the Tim Holtz, but the white just glares at me, so I have to find a way to age the back, because there's just something that old wouldn't still be Snow White. I call it a Nancy Ruffletab, because she's the one who taught me how to do that so nice and easy and quick. So you can see I was busy. That was one of the least scary things in the original text block, so I put it back in to the book. This is the vintage Christmas card that I put into it, and I'm going to leave it be for the new owner. The new owner can either just leave it the way it is or slice open the top and have extra pages, or glue shut the bottom and have a tuck spot and still journaling spots. Now here, it had the printer's insignia on the back, and I had to cover that up, so I just made a little tuck spot there. That was cut from some of the scrapbook paper that was sent to me. And then just some little added extras. This is again, I know I usually say, my junk journals are all junk, but there are some special things that, I'm sorry, you're just not getting the original, because this is my mother's recipe card. My mother would have typed it. And this is my Aunt Shirley's shortbread that our family always has every year for Christmas. And it's a Scottish shortbread, and it's the kind, we make it packed into pie plates, and then you use a fork and poke designs into the top. And I love a chunk of this with a cup of tea. But For now I can't because it calls for a pound of butter. And that would probably hospitalize me right now. Maybe not forever, but for now, no. And then this little thing, I have a book on Victorian baking. So these two cookies were exactly the same size. So I glued them together. And if you want to make a tab out of it, go ahead. Again, another precious scan that I won't part with the original because it was from my great-great-grandmother's Bible. So I've just aged it, and you can enjoy a copy of it, but our family will keep the original for our family. I tucked in a little journaling card back here. It was from that book on Christmas toys, antique Christmas puzzles and games. But again, I used pieces of paper from the original text block, and if you look carefully, you can actually see this was the front page. Backwards, you can see line upon line showing through there, and I rather like that. So I tucked that Santa in there for Father Christmas. And then again, I pulled out all my Tim Holtz things thinking, darn it, I'm going to use some Tim Holtz. And then I pulled out that book and started fussy cutting. And I really like how that turned out because you can still journal around it. And then you can still journal on some paper and tuck it underneath. And I really like how that turned out. So we're practically doing a tour here of the book, but you can see I'm almost done. This is a tuck spot, so I'll probably just be putting some tea-dyed paper in there. But I did want to put in on one of these green pages. Let me find a blank green page. Nope, that one. I wonder if I've used them all up. Uh-oh. That one's still available. It's a little small. Oh, that's from my book on Canadian Christmases from the Victorian era. Well, that's just ideal for a book from 1876. Let me see if I have a larger green page, and if not, we will... Maybe we'll do this one. All right, what I want to do is I've started making one of my, getting out my rock here. Or maybe I'll use the book and close it into the spot. So I got started on making a faux carte de visite. And it's already on some really nice paper. This was the back of a box. I think it might have been a stationery box. I can't remember. But I couldn't get rid of the box because it was really nice. And I've used lots of it. Fortunately, I've still got another side of it. So we're going to turn her into a faux carte de visite because I have so few. I'm hoping that something inside me will tell me when I'm nearing the end of my junk journaling career, because there are going to be some humdinger journals that I make that are just full of all of my actual carte de visite, my actual photos, and I'm just going to stuff those books full of tons of cool things. But for some books, it does need to be a scan. And I'm okay with that because I do have the real deal. It's in my possession. And that means it will live to see another day and enjoy being in another journal. So this is really thick cardstock. Most carte de visite are quite thick and sturdy, so they could be sent in the mail and such, and withstand being passed around and go into their books that they used to keep. I have never found one nor heard from any distant family that belonged to were of my family. As I said before, that's not going to let me. As I've said, I may have to sand that down. I think I'm going to have to. I sliced it slightly crooked, but it's nothing that my little block can't handle. I've said it before, I'll say it again, because I do that. Both sides of my family, my mother's side and my father's side, were extremely poor. And so there's very few photos. There are almost no special or expensive mementos, such as, pieces of furniture. So the special things that I have that were from the family are special because they managed to survive. You got to know your family was poor when one of the things that is special to you is that you have your great-grandmother's rolling pin. But I love it. And for many years as a mother and a cook for a large family, I used that rolling pin because it's sturdy as anything. And one day I have one daughter who really likes to get in the kitchen. And that rolling pin will be hers. Probably sooner than later, because I really don't bake pastry things anymore, and I am not about to use that rolling pin. Some of you might say, Catherine, use it for your book spines. No, not going to use it and get glue on it. It's meant for food. So I run it off the edge so that it's nice and smooth. I cut those corners. You could use your sand block to round those corners, but it'll take you a whole lot longer than if you just give them a little clip. You'll get your job done faster. Now, if it's your first time watching me do this, this is how I make my Toon Anna bookmarks too, which reminds me I have to do that for this book. I use my sanding block and some really nice thick chipboard, and it'll really make for a nice finished faux carte de visite, carte de fausite. And don't worry about seeing white here, because that's when we pull out our wonderful distress ink. And before you know it, you're going to have what feels like and looks like the real deal. I really want to get that down a bit more where I sliced it slightly uneven. But the ink will also that famous quote from that famous junk journaler. Distress ink hides a multitude of sins. So there we go. Let's get out. I want a very dark one, and I want my gold. I don't want the gold yet. Dark and twigs. Oh, I want this. So now it's very simple for the new owner. If they would like this to be a journaling card when it's in their possession, very simple to glue some paper onto the back and write to your heart's content. Makes a nice sneaky place to hide some of your innermost thoughts. All right, so let's see how that now looks like it's one thing. You wouldn't know that it's paper glued onto chipboard. Now, if I had just had chipboard like this on both sides, I would just simply choose some pretty scrapbook paper, or I've used plain paper and then a big stamp that has maybe some an interesting pattern on it, that sort of thing. So you know, I just happened to find these boxes and they're terrific. So now for this side, I will use, now that I've got two gold brushes, because I found the other gold brush, but now I've got two, so I'm just going to go around this side since it already has gold in the pattern. I'm just going to go around this side with some of the gold to give it a bit of a finished, polished look. I find sometimes when an ink pad is beginning to dry out, your corners will still be really, really juicy with ink. So there's a little hint for you. You probably already know that, but I've just recently discovered that. And this gold pad, I've been using it so much this season. She's got a little bit of gold on the front. That's okay. We're imagining that she's 140 years old, so she might be a little bit mucky. But I am just going to give her a bit of a wipe, because sometimes if you're fast enough, that will come off. So these were just, as I said, I have the original ones in a file folder. And these were just, I take them over to my local Staples and get color photographs. Not color photographs, color photocopies of them. Not even photographs, photocopies. I'm going to get a fresh paper. This sometimes stays alive for a little while. Now I am going to use a Tim Holtz thing, because she needs a little pocket to go in. Now I have to make this a little bigger because it's not going to, if I make it into a pocket, I might have room. No. I need to make it a little bit bigger. And I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that. So I'm going to pause and get it ready. Okay, my idea is not going to work, but I'll show you what I was thinking. I was thinking I got out my handy dandy second handy Sizzix, and I was going to make this doubled. But it's too wide for such a tiny little book. So I'm going to try and do what I originally was thinking I have room to do. And I do think I have room to do it. So we're going to do it. We're going to make rails again, like we did with that other little tuck spot for carte de visite, and it just needs to be very, very thin rails. It's going to lift it up a little higher. I could probably do this with scissors, but oh, that was close. We'll use these and just make them very, very thin so that we have plenty of room to fit her in, and that way she can be lifted in and out easily. I hope I'm in screen, but I'm not looking up yet while I'm working with this thing. Oh, yes, I am. Okay. All right, so we're going to make our little runners on this, but first what I want to do is, that's way too white. It's already got some gold on it, so I'm simply going to use some of my coffee archival ink and just go around the edges and age it a bit, because in an 1876 journal, I don't think many things should be Snow White. But otherwise, I do think this little green Christmas book is really almost done. And I feel like I've almost blown the flip through, but maybe every time I catch up a little too much on my videos, I always worry that I've ruined my flip through, or that maybe it will help me speed up my flip through, but it doesn't. I still take too long on my flip through. So we're going to glue this as close to that edge as possible without it going over that little scalloped edge. Is that it? Yes, that's good. Okay. I'm already at 33 minutes. Oh boy. All right. Let's get that. And we have to be very careful because it is art glitter glue, and you don't have a whole lot of fuss time with art glitter glue. Let's do this one because it's really thin. Then I'm going to go downstairs and make some lunch for Sweetie Pie and I. Okay, if I keep that there, and then I'm going to, oh, you're going to give me a difficult time, are you? Well, at least I know you're tough. tough as nails. Which side do I want? I want that to be the top. I like how those are hanging down. So this is the bottom. There we go. Now, here, let's cross our fingers and see if she fits comfortably. She fits comfortably. She's going to slide in and out just nicely. Let's come down a bit. All right, so we saved our page because we used our little journaling board. Pardon me. But I wonder if I want to use this other green page, because that's what I call a presentation page. So when you open it up, there she is. And she'll be hiding behind there. So now we will put glue on the runners. I don't know what you would call those. I call them runners. But they're just sort of lifters, I guess. And just makes it a little easier for her to go in and out. And then she should be able to slide nicely. Look at that. And there she is. And there's just enough of her sticking out the top so that she can be grabbed and pulled out. I'm going to leave her out for now while this dries and go make some lunch. So thanks for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed watching me finish off creating a faux carte de visite and also creating this little frame to hold her in, that maybe she was the original owner of this 1867 book, and somebody was able to save her and keep her in there. So there we go. Take care. Have a great rest of your day. Take a second and click like for me if you enjoyed this, and say hi down below and I'll say hi back at you. We'll talk soon. Bye.